Good morning. Still in unit percent, student handout number 2, percent estimation. Let's get started with a joke.
What do you call a cow without legs? Ground beef.
All right. First question of the day. So go ahead and get you numbers. I think there's 8 of them today. There is 8 questions today. Number 1, what social media platform is known for short, viral dance and lip sync videos? What social media platform is known for short, viral dance and lip sync videos? All right, here we go. A percentage is a part to whole ratio where the whole is always 100. All right, it says to complete the charts below with the missing info. All right, what is the percent of the one above? Okay, well, let's stop before we do that. Let's do the percent over the whole. We know I'm going to go ahead and tell you there's 100 blocks there, which you can probably look at that and tell me that. So what is the percent going to be? How much of that is covered? What percentage of that block is covered? What do we need to do? We need to count the 1 units, okay, because there's 100 units in it total, so we need to count the 1 units. There are 25. I'll go ahead and tell you, but you can count them if you don't believe me. So what percent is that going to make? How much of that is covered right there? 25% of it. How do I know that? Because there's 25 out of 100 blocks covered, which is 25%. Because percent is out of 100. So if 25 out of 100 are covered, then it's 25%. And what is the decimal form? Well, we know that this whole thing is one whole, right? The whole thing is one whole, so it's not all covered, so it's less than one whole. And then how much is covered? Well, if you go back to place value, this is tenths and 100ths. So the 100ths ends in that second spot. So how many is covered? 25. So 0.25. All right, the next one. 85% of it is covered. How do we know that? Because there's 85 blocks colored in, but they told us to. So what is the percent over whole? We know the whole is always 100 when we're talking about percents, and there's 85 out of 100 filled. That is a decimal. There's less than one whole, so it's 0 point something. And then what is the percentage going to be? 0.85, because there's 85 out of the 100. And remember, this is tenths, 100ths. So it's 85 100ths. 85 out of 100. So you say 85 hundredths. All right, the last one. What percent is it? It is 40%. How do I know that? Number 1, because they told me the percent out of whole was 40. So 40 out of 100 is 40%. Also, I could have counted. What is the decimal? It's less than one whole, so it's 0 point, and then 40 100ths, because 40 out of 100. 40 100ths. All right, next question. This is number 2 on the question series. Number 2 on the questions. Which animated movie from 2024, so from last year, featuring characters from a popular video game? So it was a video game made into a movie, and it was last year. It's one of my son's favorite movies. All right, it's one of the biggest hits of the year, too. All right, moving on. A percent can also be written using a percent bar or percent proportion, because you can simplify percents. It is possible. And so that's what it means as a percent proportion. It's basically a simplified version. All right, so we're going to set up a percent bar and a percent proportion for each of the fractions below. This fraction is 1/5, so we're going to color in 1 of the 5th. They already have the 5th marked off for us. Okay? So 1/5. What is that going to be as a percentage? So go ahead and make sure you put that at the top. It's 1/5. All right, how do we know that? We know that this bottom number is always going to be 100 because we're talking about percents. So how did we go from 5 to 100? We multiplied by 20. So you're going to do the same thing to the top, and you're going to get 20. So down here on the bottom, that is 20 of 100. Notice, in yellow, those are the same thing except a larger comparison, just like we did on the last notes. They're equal. One is just scaled of the other. So 1/5 is also 20 out of 100. Now, what is the percentage? Now that it's out of 100, we can put the percentage sign because percentage is out of 100. So the percentage is 20 out of 100%. All right, over here, the next one, number 2, they said 3/4. So I'm going to color in 3 out of 4 of those. Okay, now we're going to label them 3, and there's the 4, so 3 out of 4. Go ahead and put my down there. Now, how do we make it a percent? How do we figure that out? Well, we know percent is out of 100, so we're going to take 4 and make it into 100, which means we multiply by, what do you multiply 4 by? Or you can divide 100 divided by 4, and you're going to end up multiplying by 25, excuse me. So 3 times 25 is 75. How do we know the percentage? Remember, percentage is out of 100, so it's 75 out of 100, which is 75%. Now, the other way to have looked at that, there is one more way, and I do want you to see this. You know that half is right there, and we all know that half is 50%, right? Everybody agree with that? This, where I'm drawing the green highlighter looking majigger here, is half of that. So that's half of the half. If we know that half is 50%, what is half of 50 more percent? 25, and then 25 plus the 50 is 75%. Also, some of you could have just saw it as 3/4, and you already know 3/4 is 75%. Any of those ways, fantastic. All right, I'm gonna zoom out. Next question. What is the name, sorry it deleted. What is the name of the band that reunited this past year in 2024 and released a new version of their hit song, I Want It That Way? What is the name of the band that reunited in 2024 and released a new version of their hit song, I Want It That Way? We'll go ahead and give you one more. This is number 4. Which pop star released a viral song titled 1989? Which pop star released a viral song titled 1989? By the year, that was the year I was born, in case anybody cares. All right, backside. Percent bars. Percent bars can be used to estimate the percentage. So let's do it. Let's set up a percent bar. All right, they said the question is, what is 50% of 50? What is half of 50? Yes, we know that's 25. They're starting us off real easy. But let's use the percent bar to figure that one out. We know the whole thing is 50 because it says of 50. That means the total. Of 50 is the total. They want to know what 50% of that is. So at the top up here, we know that 50 is 100% of the whole. That's 100%. It's full. Well, they went ahead and drew us a line in the middle. What do you think that is? It looks like it's right in the middle, which would be what? 50%, right? So we know that 50% is 50 over 100, and we're looking for the 50. The 50 is the total, and we're looking for that top number. So how did I go from 100 to 50? I divided by 2. How am I going to go from 50 down? I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to get 25. Now, here's what I want you to write. 50% is half of the percent bar and half of the total. %50 is half of the percent bar over there, and it's half of the total. All right, what is 25% of 50? Again, the total is still going to be what? 50, and we know that that's 100% at the end. We know that this is 50%. Why? Because it's in the middle. So what do you think the other 2% are going to be? The other two lines. Well, if this is 50, what I'm about to highlight, if that's 50%, that link there, that line is in the middle of those, so what's half of 50%? Yeah, 25. So this is going to be 25%. And then what do you think this other one's going to be? Yep, 75. Okay? Now let's go find our numbers. We know that 50% is half of 100%. So we can take half of 50, which is 25. And then we know 25% is half of 50%. So we can take half of 25, which is 12.5. And then to solve this other one, we know that 50 is 75, is halfway between 50 and 100, right? So if 25% is 12.5, we can just add 12.5% to 50, because 25 plus 50 is 75. So you can get 37.5. Okay? Now, also, if you didn't use the percent bar, you could have set it up as proportions and then scaled it. So you could have said the total is 50, right? Or hang on, 50. The percent over here is 100. It's always 100, and it's 25 out of 100. And then I want to know what we're looking for, because this is the total. Those bottom numbers are the total. 50 is the total, and then 100 of the percent is the total. So how did you go from 50 to 100? You doubled it, or you divided by 2 if you went from 100 to 50. So you're just going to divide by 2 when you go 25. and you're going to get 12.5, which is the same thing we got. Now, here's what I want you to write. You're going to divide the bar into force. And then 50% is half of the percent bar. 25% is half of the half, which is 50. All right, while you're writing that, I'm going to give you the next question. This is going to be number 5 on the questionnaires of the day. Number 5. What is the name of the viral TikTok challenge where people show their glow-up transformations over several years? What is the name of the viral TikTok challenge where people show their glow-up transformations over several years? All right, last one of this set here, number 5 on our paper here. What is 10% of 50? Again, we're still going to set it up the same exact way. We know the whole is 50 and the whole percentage is 100. Now, how do we guess down to the bottom? Okay. Well, they didn't draw the whole bar, so I'm really not sure of what that represents. But they told me in the question, what is 10%, and they drew the bar. So I can assume that that is 10%. Oops, I drew the percent on the bottom. I meant to draw it on the top. My bad. All right, so if I will go from 100% down to 10%, what did I do? I divided by 10. So what do you think you need to do with that 50? You're right, you need to divide it by 10. And when you divide it by 10, you get 5. Again, the other way to set it up using scaling, because that's the way I would like to use it, is I know the total is 100%. Always, we're looking for 10%. The of the total is 50, and then I can just look for that top number. So I have to figure out, how did I go from 100 to 50? I divided by 2. So I need to go 10 divided by 2, which is 5. That's the scaling method over there. All right, here's what we need to write down. 10% is 1/10 of 100%. So you can move All right, so here's another method. We'll do it blue. 100 and then to 10. How did you go from 100 to 10? Yeah, we divided by 2, so that's one way we did it. But also, when you're in tenths, you can just, how many places did you move that decimal to make it 10? You moved it 1 to the left. So what do you think you need to do that 5? Move it 1 to the left, and guess what happens to that 0? It's gone, and now you're left with 5. That's when you're dealing with tens. Because remember, when we're dealing with units of 10, we can just move decimal places. Because where is the decimal place when you have 100? It's right there. Where is it when you have 10? It's right there. Are there still zeros right here in yellow? Yes, we just don't write them, right? So all we did is move that decimal place. Okay, see how it went from just added the 0 to the other side? Okay. That's only when it's in units of 10, like 10 and 100%, or 100% and 1,000%. So that's not often that we get to do that. All right, next question. This is number six on the questions that I'm asking. Which Marvel superhero movie released last year, and it featured the multiverse and a team-up of multiple Spider-Man? Which Marvel superhero movie released last year featured the multiverse and a team-up of multiple Spider-Man? You got to tell me the whole name. You can't just say Spider-Man. Yes, obviously, I just told you it was a Spider-Man movie. But what's the whole name of the movie? All right. The bottom, the last two, number 6. Use percent bars to estimate the solutions below. All right, so we're going to estimate. All right, so we're just going to use the bar graphs. We're not going to use the scaling, okay? All right, here we go. What is 20% of 80? So I know the total is 80, and I know that's 100% of 80 and 80. That's at the end. All right, they're broken up for us. They've already did it, and they did 10%, and they did 20% for us. All right. So we can do this in our head. How? What is 10% of 80? Coach, I don't know. Okay, yes, you do. How do I go from 100% to 10%? What did I do? I divided by 10. Do you agree with that? Yeah, you do. So 100% and 10%. 10% of 100% divide by 10. Okay. So I can take 80 and divide by 10. Because to go from 80 to 10%, I need to do what? Divide by 10. Right. Okay. So let's do that. What is 80 divided by 10? We ought to be able to do that in our head. You're right. It's 8. That's correct. Now, how do I go from 10% to 20%? What happened there? It doubled. So what can I do to 8? I can double it, which is 16. Yes, you need to write all of that. The answer is 16, by the way. All right, next question. This is number 7 on your questions of the day. This is number 7 on your questions of the day. What was the most streamed song on Spotify last year in 2024? What was the most streamed song? I'll give you a hint. It was by Miley. All right, last one of the day, number 7. What is 75% of 200? Again, we're going to try to do this mentally with this bar here. We know that the total is 200. That's 100%. Okay. Well, it gave us some bars. What is in the middle? It's split right in the middle. What percentage is that? 50. That's right. How do we go from 100% to 50%? We divide by 2, right? And that's what we did. We divided by 2. So we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Divide by 2. 200 divided by 2 is 100. I'll write that in green. I'm sorry. 100. Now I need to know 75%. So how can I do that? 50 plus 25% more. Well, what is 25%? How do we do that? If I know 50% is 100, how would I figure out this 25% over here? I would divide it by 2 again, because 25% is half of 50%. It's divided by 2. So I can do that. I can figure out 25%, which is 10 divided by 2, which is 50. So how do I make 75% from 50%, 25%? That's right, you add them up. 50% plus 50% plus 25% is 75%, right? That's right. So those two added up equal 75%. Which is 150. $150. You do need to write your answer. X equals 150. And then on the last one, X equals 16, I think. Now, I do want us to think about it a different way. 200%, we can do it in tens. That's when I break percentages apart, guys, I break it into tens. So I know that in 75%, there are 7 10%. Right? 7 10%. That makes 70%. And then there's 1 5%. So in 70%, I'm going to write this down here at the bottom. You don't have to do this. In 75%, there are 10 70%. Or there's 10, excuse me, take that back. There's 7 10% and 1 5%. If you add 7 10% and 1 5%, you get 75%. Okay. I can do 10% of 200 in my head because I know I just need to divide by 10. So 200 divided by 10 is 20. That is 10%. Now I can multiply that times 7 and I get 140. So I'm getting close to the answer. Well, how do I know what 5% is, Coach? Well, if I know what 10% is, and I know 10% is 20, 5% is half of 10%, right? So what's half of 20? 10. So you get 150. All right, last question, number 8 of the day. Last question. Which viral YouTuber turned boxer won a boxing match against Mike Tyson, sparking a lot of memes online? So what viral YouTuber turned boxer beat Mike Tyson in a boxing match? All right, here's the answer for today. Make sure your partners ain't cheating. So make sure they don't write these down. Make sure they're marking them wrong or right. Number 1, the answer was TikTok. TikTok. Number 2, the answer was Super Mario Brothers movie, to be exact. Number 3 was Backstreet Boys. Number 4 was Taylor Swift. Number 5 is the Teen Glow Challenge. Number 6, you got to have the whole name on this one, is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. If you put Beyond the Spider-Verse, I'll take that. Number 7 is Flowers. And number 8 is Logan Paul. Again, one more time. Number 1 is TikTok. Number 2 is Super Mario Brothers movie. Number 3 is Backstreet Boys. Number 4 is Taylor Swift. Number 5 is the Teen Glow Challenge. Number 6 is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Number 7 is Flowers. And number 8 is Logan Paul. That's all we got for today. We'll see you on the flip side. Adios, amigos.